Well, a great way to start the Memorial Day weekend is with a good old-fashioned fish fry. That's exactly what Atlanta hopes happens tonight as the Miami Marlins come to town for the first time in 2016. Hi again, friends. Chip and Joe, welcome back to the ballpark. Last time we saw the fish, well, we had to pay our income taxes. That was the bad news. The good news is, though, Atlanta swept 3 games against this Marlins ball club, and they love to get back in the win column against them starting tonight.
Needless to say, of that 3-game sweep, it was the most complete effort by the Braves, offensively, defensively, and pitching all year long, especially the bullpen. The Braves bullpen was outstanding in that series. A 1.38 ERA and average with runners in scoring position. Well, we haven't seen the likes of that since that series either, especially lately for Atlanta. If the Braves are going to continue to do some damage against the fish, they're going to have to pick up some runners in scoring position, which has been an issue lately.
And this is a beat-up Miami club, but don't tell Don Mattingly that. They are one of the best road teams in the National League, so the Braves will have their hands full in Game 1 of the series tonight. Beautiful night for baseball. Lineups, first pitch, Braves and the Marlins coming right up.
Is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
Perfect Friday night in Atlanta. Hope you're going to have a safe and fun-filled Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully it'll be a fun night for Williams Perez, coming off an excellent outing last time against the Phillies.
25 years old, 6'1", 230 out of Venezuela. I wanted to show you this tonight because first inning problems have been an issue at times for Williams. He can't afford to fall behind this Marlins team and let them really get confident. That leads us to our 4 keys to pitching success tonight. He's going to have to establish inside early to make his changeup effective. He's not had a good bout of luck with these guys in 2 starts in his career, 9 innings, 17 hits. And adjustments. This is a red hot team, so what might work the first time through the order might not the second. Be willing to move that ball around.
And you've got to worry about a man closing in on 3,000 hits in the major leagues, Ichiro Suzuki, who takes a strike. And we are underway. Ichiro, Prado, and Marcell Ozuna, the top 3. You see the numbers against Williams Perez on the right side of that graphic. So pretty salty 1, 2, 3 for Don Mattingly, the Miami skipper. Ichiro, one of the great stories in Major League Baseball this year, hitting .357, no homers, 5 runs batted in. And he slaps this one out towards second. That should be easy for Gordon Beckham. It is, and a ground out gets the night started for the Braves starter Williams Perez. Certainly a different look at the top of the order with Dee Gordon suspended for the Miami Ball Club. And that's a real shame. The reigning batting champion in the National League, Gold Glover, Silver Slugger Award winner, stolen base leader, and Major League Baseball hits leader out for 80 games.
Losing him was one thing, but not having Yelich and Stanton in the middle of their order is just adding more injury to insult.
Here's Martin Prado. Martin has had a great start to the year. 4th in the league in average at .339. No homers, 15 runs batted in. And he's 5th in the league in hits. And out of play, foul, 1 ball, 1 strike. One of the most popular Braves in recent memory, now applying his craft with the Marlins. And another chance for Beckham. He had Prado played perfectly, and Perez getting the ball on the ground early is an excellent sign.
And that was right in on his hands. Good pitch, 92.
And as Joe said, this is a hot Marlins club on the road, and this is a hot hitter no matter where he's swinging the bat. Marcell Ozuna is our Georgia Lottery hitting the jackpot feature.
For the month of May, 1st in average in the National League, 1st in hits, 2nd in on base, 1st in slugging. He is having a phenomenal month, and he's reached base in 33 straight games.
He swings at the first pitch, and Ibar can't get it at short. And Ozuna's aboard for the 34th consecutive game. A 2-out single, bounces up the middle.
I'm told that if anyone has benefited from the arrival of Barry Bonds as their hitting coach, it's Marcell Ozuna, where we used to see him chase breaking balls and fish for balls out of the zone. He has really become a lot more patient. He's not chasing bad pitches. And more contact for him is usually hard contact.
So he's aboard in front of Justin Bour, the big Marlins first baseman. Bour missed a couple of games with a finger problem, but he's a 9-homer, 25 RBI man. And he loves hitting against the Braves. He's had big numbers and some big home runs against Braves pitching, so beware of him. And that one stroked into right field. That'll one hop out to Nick Markakis. And back-to-back singles with 2 outs as Miami in business. And Tyler Flowers will make his way to the mound for a quick chat with Williams Perez.
Well, he got the ground ball that normally would get you out of the inning. 3 up and 3 down. But instead 2 hits.
So the Miami catcher JT Realmuto is up. He's a .301 hitter with 13 RBIs. When Dee Gordon was suspended, Real Muto actually led off a game or two for the Fish. In fact, he led off 5 times, and the Marlins won 4 of those games. And you'd think, well, when's the last time you can remember a leadoff hitting catcher? Well, Jason Kendall did that years ago with the Pirates.
Just about all the time. This team is 15-9 on the road, one of the best records in baseball. And they have the highest batting average on the road in the major leagues. Team batting average on the road at .287. Real Muto hitting .402 on the road. That's 3rd best in both leagues.
Two balls, no strikes. And that's fouled at the plate. 2-1. Don Mattingly should be applauding his club's effort. Short-handed, but look at what their offense has been doing.
They're coming off a series against Tampa Bay where they had 50 hits in 4 games. Won all 4 games. And they're doing it without that guy, Christian Yelich, with a bad back, and Giancarlo Stanton, as Chip said, with a sore side. They don't call it an oblique.
Fly ball lifted out toward left. Long run for Francoeur. He's going to get there. And the side is retired. Perez surrenders a couple of 2-out hits, but no damage done. Goes to work, a tall, lanky lefty who's seeking his 4th victory of the season.
He is tall and lanky. 6'3", 200-pounder out of Redmond, Washington, a suburb of Seattle. He's 25 years old and a former 2nd-round draft pick. Got off to a very good start. He throws hard, has an excellent changeup, but his last 3 starts not so good, as you saw right there. His last outing against Washington, 5 1/3 innings. He walked 7 batters. A couple of those were intentional, but he gave up 6 runs, so maybe the Braves can catch him on an off night. 91 to 94 fastball, changeup, and a slider, and he really pitches in to right-handers.
And quickly, too.
Yes.
So we'll see if Conley works with his normal quick pace as Ender Inciarte is ready to go for the Braves. Conley's given up 5 first-inning runs. Let's see if Atlanta can strike first here in the first, and that's out of play.
Here's something odd about him, though. Left-handers are hitting him at a .405 clip. Right-handers, half that. Jeff Francoeur thought it was because he probably, the way he pitches inside to right-handers, he tries to go to that same side of the plate on lefties and misses a lot, gets himself behind in the count.
Opposite field hit for Inciarte. Prado had no chance. Ender around first, digging for 2. Throw to second is going to beat him. And Inciarte is thrown out, trying to stretch a single into a double. 1 out. Cole Gillespie got to it quickly and threw a strike to second for the first out.
Brian Snitker trying to get the attention of Dan Iassogna to wait a second.
Now Gordon Beckham's going to step out.
Nice recovery there by Gillespie. And that glove looked like it went right between his legs. Picked up the foot. Well, that was a quick decision.
Yeah. So as the late great Bob Murphy says, well, there goes the no-hitter.
Yeah.
But there is one out as that's fouled back by Gordon Beckham. Gordon's rolling. He's had a terrific month for the Braves, playing second base, third base, hitting .327 this month, a homer and 8 runs batted in. Gordon's at second base against the Marlins tonight. And that's a little low. 1-2 your count. Conley started against the Braves a couple of times. He's given up 6 earned runs in 8 innings. A .675 career ERA. And I would think, Joe, it's like swinging the bat against daddy long legs. All you see are kneecaps and elbows with this guy.
No doubt. Tough to pick up. And I'm sure that real fast accelerated windup adds to the deception of his changeup.
Line drive into right center field. That'll get down for a hit. Ichiro surrounds it, gathers it up, and Beckham has a 1-out single. So Gordon continues his good offensive work. And that leads us to Braves first baseman Freddie Freeman.
Gordon had a good series down in Miami during that sweep. He went 3 for 8. First knock of the series right here.
Freddie knocked in a couple of runs down in Miami. And he pulls one out of play foul. Freeman at .254, 8 homers. Tyler Flowers behind him in the on-deck circle. And Freeman just got hit by a pitch. So Conley has been less than sharp with the first 3 Braves hitters. All of them have reached. Inciarte was thrown out, trying to move to second, and 2 are on, 1 away.
Hit him with the changeup, circle change. Freddie doesn't wear shin guard or elbow guard, but it did get him in a padded area.
So here's Tyler Flowers. 4 of his last 6 hits have gone for extra bases. He had a first inning homer here last night. Well, those would be welcome right here against Conley.
His average is at .269, Chip, because of situations like this. When he's got guys on base, that's when he's at his best. Hitting near .400 in this situation compared to the sacks being empty.
1 ball, 1 strike. That's popped up and out of play. This has been an area of concern for the Braves over the last 4 or 5 games. And if you want to talk about a frustrating point of contention, it's that the Braves have had lots of scoring opportunities but have not cashed them in. The club is 0 for his last 18 with runners in scoring position. And Flowers has the first crack at an RBI hit tonight. He's behind in the count, 1-2. And that missed.
He was suffering a little bit today after getting plunked last night on the right forearm. real sore.
Braves have scored 7 runs total in their last 5 games. And I know you and I have talked about it. It's contagious. It's not just one guy. It's a club-wide phenomenon right now, and it just seems that no matter when the Braves have an opportunity, it's that guy who's struggling that's in the batter's box.
Well, Brian Snitker said as much last night. One of his post-game comments was that when you're struggling to get that hit, then everybody tries too hard to make sure they get it.
Flowers didn't, and that's the second out. Braves 0 for 1 with a man in scoring position tonight. That brings up Nick Markakis, who's struggled as well. He's 0 for his last 17.
Only 2 teams with lower averages than the Braves in Milwaukee with 2 out in this situation.
Nick drove in 4 runs down in Miami, had 5 hits against the Fish, and that's outside. Ball 1 for Nick Markakis. His average down to 232 now. Dan Iasonia has the plate tonight. That one was too high for Markakis. Two balls, no strike. And a pop up left side. Prado gives chase over near the stands, and he won't have a play.
If you want to find a guy with some positive numbers in this situation, here he is. 7 for 23.
This one might stay in play for Prado, and it's going to. He's down the line, foul ground, and Conley gives up 3 hits, but no runs in the bottom of the first.
And the Braves are scoreless going through 2 innings, and the Braves did have a transaction today, and Adonis Garcia is back up in Atlanta. You know, he was sent down to Gwinnett to work more on defense. He was swinging it fine. He played 19 games down there, started 17 in left field, which is where they want him to improve, and 2 at DH. He had 356 with 18 RBI in AAA.
Thank you, Kelsey. The Braves looking for power. Maybe Garcia will provide some when he's placed in the lineup by Brian Snitker. He's observing tonight as Derek Dietrich leads off the 2nd inning for the Fish. he jumps over or jumps onto a pitch and pops it into straightaway center. Easy for me to say. Inciarte a couple of steps to his right. And he's got it for out number 1. Francoeur, Inciarte, and Markakis left to right in the outfield. Beckman, Ibar, the double play combo. Chase Darno and Freeman on the infield corners. And Tyler Flowers is behind the plate. Here's Cole Gillespie. Gillespie's at .235 with 4 RBIs. He was called up on April 29th. He's making his 3rd start tonight.
He's a big guy, 6'2", 215. We've seen him before in the National League with a couple of different teams, Arizona, Giants, Cubs. He's also been with Seattle and Toronto in the American League.
So half bat will travel for Cole Gillespie, who's starting in place of Christian Yelich, who's out with back spasms. Just off the plate. Good try. 2-2.
It's rare you see a guy as well traveled as Gillespie who has a .253 career average and almost 400 at bats.
High hopper. Ibar gets to this one, and his throw to first is in time for out number 2. Here's one of my favorite players in the National League, Adeiny Hechavarria.
It's one of Don Mattingly's too. Right now, the way he's playing, you know he's playing a good shortstop, but hitting .400 over his last 11 games.
And he wears out the Braves too. Let's see if Perez can avoid any 2-out bumps in the road, and he should with Beckham handling this one at second. It's 3 up, 3 down on 8 pitches. Nice work continues for Williams Perez. Jeff Francoeur leads off the second next.
Be a good conversation, wouldn't it?
You bet. Chipper Jones and Dan Uggla tonight. And, you know, Chipper will be here tomorrow night. At least we hope he will be for his bobblehead night. It's the Chipper Rescues Freddie ATV bobblehead night. First 20,000 fans here will get that terrific souvenir. As the Braves and Fish fight in game 2. It's a 4:10 first pitch. Braves live at 3:30. Atlanta has not yet announced who will start that game. We are told that will happen after the game tonight. Jeff Francoeur. First pitch and a shot to left center field. Another hit for Jeff against a lefty. He is killing them this year.
and had only been 1 for 8 with 3 strikeouts against Conley before. He was the guy that was really raving about Conley to me and how tough he is, with good reason. So he wasn't going to mess around. He's going to jump in there and get that first pitch. And look how Jeff has spread his hits around. Good work.
And Adam Conley is living a charmed life. He's pitched an inning plus. He's allowed 4 hits. But no runs yet. It's 3 hits. I beg your pardon. Freeman was hit by a pitch, but still 3 hits in the first inning plus, no runs.
3 hits, a hit batsman, and nobody's made it to third base.
Here's d'Arnaud. He's hitting .375. And because he's swinging the bat well and fielding the ball well, quite obviously he's in the lineup. Bohr in front of the bag at first base holds Jeff Francoeur. The pitch is called strike.
Good pitch, off-speed pitch that d'Arnaud gave up on, and it tailed back over the plate.
Opposite field single. Nice piece of hitting by d'Arnaud. And his good work at the plate earns him our Home Depot tools from the dugout.
Yeah, this is coming into the game tonight. His last 7 games. Crazy average and on base percentage. 4 extra base hits mixed in there too. And he shows you how he can handle the bat right there going the other way. He's doing a terrific job.
So this would be a good spot for Erick Aybar's first hit against Miami. He's batting .184 overall. That's hit toward right center. Ichiro closing speed gets there. Francoeur tags. He's coming to third. The throw's off target. So Aybar advances Francoeur with a fly to right. Now Williams Perez is the Atlanta hitter with 1 out.
Good base running by Francoeur. Even at his age, Suzuki still has a good arm, but it looked like Ichiro's having a hard time getting his feet under him there. Took him a couple of steps to get rid of it.
And you're right, Ichiro has 5 assists this year. But that throw missed the mark. And now we'll see what the Braves do with Williams Perez, who does not have a hit this year. And is 2 for 40 lifetime as a major league hitter.
He's 0 for 12, but just 3 strikeouts. So maybe he'll put one in play here and avoid a double play.
He stabbed at that pitched ball. Showed bunt. No balls, 1 strike. Something that troubled Conley 2 starts ago against Milwaukee was the stolen base. The Brewers stole 4 bases against him in that game. And he really went into his last start against Washington trying to control the running game, and as a result really slowed down his pace. And he said that greatly affected his performance with that 7-walk game. He'd never walked more than 4 guys in the big leagues in any outing. So we'll see how deliberately he works here.
So he was distracted. The base running by Milwaukee got him started on that.
Two strikes, and Perez pops it up and right back to the pitcher Conley, and that's the 2nd out. Braves 0 for 4 already with runners in scoring position, and we go to Inciarte with 2 outs and 2 aboard.
His average is pretty even across the board till you get to 2 out and runners in scoring position. He was able to take care of business in that category in the first inning. This guy had a no-hitter for 7 2/3 innings against Milwaukee back on April 30th, but he had racked up 116 pitches and had to come out of the game.
Miami lost that no-hit bid when Jose Urena gave up a hit in the 9th inning. 1 ball, no strikes for Inciarte. Nice stop by Real Muto. It's now 2-0. Francoeur and d'Arnaud are at the corners with 2 out. And a slow ground ball to Dietrich at second, and Conley is out of trouble again. Back-to-back hits began the Braves' second, but Atlanta's 0 for 5 with Risp and still scoreless. Streaming sports service delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. That includes a free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Go to MLB.tv for all the details. Well, once again, Williams Perez hoping for some early run support. The Braves have had base runners all over the place in the first 2 innings, but have not broken through yet. And Williams will face Adam Conley, leading off the Miami third with no score. Like Williams Perez, Conley doesn't have a hit. Unlike Williams Perez, he strikes out a lot, 10 times in 16 at bats this year. Got a good cut at that one and skies it foul to the left side. And it's 0-2.
Conley went to Wazoo, Washington State University.
I thought that's a town that my cousin Vinny had to go to save his nephew.
Might have been.
One ball, 2 strikes. And that's out of play. The search for the souvenir is underway.
It's all over, honey. You can sit up.
1-2. A little dribbler foul at the plate. The two Utes were searching for that baseball and came up with it. And Perez gets his mound opponent. Down on strikes is Conley. First of those for Perez. And once again, we'll feast our eyes on one of the game's great players, Ichiro Suzuki, our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard.
I think the only person who has more hits than Suzuki is A-Rod. I believe that's right.
Yeah, the amazing thing about Ichiro is, in a sport that has always valued power, the ability to hit for a lot of extra base hits, a lot of homers, that has never been Ichiro's game, and I think that's by his own design. You watch this guy take batting practice and you think you're watching a 30-40 home run guy, as this one's going to split the gap in left center field. Enciarte is going to track it down on the track, and Ichiro glides into second base with a base hit. A two-bagger for Ichiro, his fourth double. That's hit number 2961. 2,412 of them have been singles.
And on an 0-2 count. One thing about this, I don't know why my jersey didn't just say Joe, but everybody else in baseball has their last name on the jersey. I don't understand how that happens. But maybe Joe would have looked better. Yes, Alex Rodriguez, 3,084 hits to the 2,961 for Suzuki.
Here's Martin Prado. And that's in for a strike. Years ago, the Braves had some unique, shall we say, ways to identify the players. When Ted Turner owned the club in the early days on the Superstation, he allowed the players to have their nicknames on the backs of their shirts. Jerry Royster's nickname was Jay Bird, so that's what he had instead of Royster. And Ted, in his usual brilliant marketing self, gave Andy Messersmith number 17. And guess what Andy Messersmith's nickname was? Channel. So every time he took the mound, he was advertising the TV station upon which the Braves were playing. Ground ball right side. Beckham knocks it down, keeps it close by, but can't make a play, as Martin Prado has an infield hit. And Martin doing what he always does, trying to advance Suzuki to third, and is rewarded with an infield hit.
Almost got an RBI. So all he was thinking about was going that way too. Freddie was well off the line, but he couldn't cut it off. Beckham had to dive to save a run.
So now you've got real trouble, as Ozuna's the batter. As Joe said, he's been the hottest hitter for Miami. 60 hits this season for the Marlins center fielder. And a two-out single past Ibar, his first time.
So those nicknames on the jerseys, what happened? Commissioner step in and baseball?
You know, I don't know that part of the story. But I just remember as a kid watching them and saying, what? Who?
Commissioner said, I don't think that's going to work with the Channel 17.
Probably. Yep.
But there's been no such step in on the part of baseball on Suzuki's jersey.
No balls at a strike. Inside corner, good pitch.
Good pitch. Now here's where we'll see if we notice any difference for Ozuna. If they throw him some off speed, a breaking ball, and he chases down and away, that's where they tell me he has really made some strides in cutting down on bad swings.
And that's the pitch that many times he would have swung at. That went too far off the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
He's got tremendous power. Real strong guy.
Might remember last year he was in the midst of a real long slump. 1 for 30 something, was sent down to AAA, and he thought he was going to go down for a couple of weeks, get his swing back in order. And he's asking the umpire to check out his right eye. Contact maybe.
Dan Iasonia may have said, you know, I have enough vision problems of my own. So if you get the trainer out here.
Dan, that was Joe, by the way.
I've met and talked to Dan on the plane. We were side by side on a plane coming back to Atlanta once. Nice man, good umpire. So,
and he lives here, right? He's an
yeah,
Atlanta guy,
I think
right?
he lives in Roswell area.
Yeah. That was beautiful. So Ozuna's ready to go. 1 ball and 2 strikes. First and third for the Fish. 1 out. We're in the top of the 3rd inning. That is hammered to center. And Inciarte, it's over his head. What in the world happened there? Ichiro scores. Prado stops at 3rd, and Ozuna with a double to center. And it's 1-0 Miami.
Well, I think he saw that pitch okay, so I think the vision's all right. Was Inciarte trying to do one of his patented dekes?
If he did, he got me.
Well, if he did, he may have deked himself. Because he turned around. I don't know that he was going to get there. It hit right at the base of the wall. I think that's what he was doing, trying to freeze the runner at first. But that was a laser to center.
26 RBIs for Ozuna. And now runners are at 2nd and 3rd with 1 out, and the Marlins have scored the first run. Justin Bour has a base hit, a .353 lifetime average against the Braves, and that's hammered out of play. And I agree with you. Looking at that replay again, it looked like Inciarte was going to catch it. It hit the base of the wall, but the way he tracked it looked like he was there to make the grab.
Right.
So 3 straight Miami hits after the strikeout to the pitcher. And Bour, a ground ball right side, is going to get another run home. It's 2-0. Prado scores.
One of the worst things an outfielder can do is chase a ball to the wall, not catch it, and have it come off the wall where you got to chase it back toward the infield. I think he recognized right away that he wasn't going to catch this and tried to do something we've seen him do before, which is make it look like he was going to catch it and then be ready to play it off the wall. It was a low rocket.
So 2 in, 2 are out. And here's JT Realmuto, the catcher. Realmuto was born in Del City, Oklahoma. And a 3rd round pick 6 years ago by Miami. Got to the big leagues 2 years ago for the first time.
Del City's is a suburb on the east side of Oklahoma City.
Last year set club records for rookie catchers in average, runs, hits, RBIs. As that one's cut on and missed. 2 balls, 2 strikes. They had a kid catcher there by the name of Charles Johnson, who was pretty good. And Realmuto's offensive numbers in his first year were better than Charles's.
That's saying something. Charles was a little tough to run on. What an arm. And there wasn't much in the dirt that ever got by Charles Johnson.
So Miami's doing what the Marlins have done on the road. They've struck first. They've picked up 5 hits. Ozuna's 2 for 2. Now Real Muto pops one right side. That's headed for the stands, foul. Miami begins play tonight in the thick of things in the Eastern race. The Fish 25-22. They start play 3.5 games behind the Nationals. Washington is getting clobbered by the Cardinals tonight. That's 5-0 St. Louis in the 4th inning at Nationals Park. Max Scherzer starting that game for the Nationals. 2-2. Good stop by Flowers. Not sure if he caught that or the ball caught him.
Whichever, it saved a run. Change up. Nice play. Talked a lot about Miami's offense, and a lot of it is recent work. That the month of May has been really good, and they're second in average, but they're only 10th in runs scored. They're going to move toward the top, though, if this keeps up.
Ball 4. Nice at bat by Real Muto. And it's even more impressive to me that they've done this not so much without Yelich, who's only missed a handful of games, but with Giancarlo Stanton having an absolutely miserable month with a ton of strikeouts, very little power, and now that side problem that's been plaguing him for the last couple of games. Someone's going to pay. Doesn't appear that it's going to be Williams Perez head to head with Stanton in tonight's affair, however. As Joe mentioned, the Marlins coming off a great series with the Tampa Bay Rays. Jose Fernandez is back to his brilliant self. 12 strikeouts over 7 innings. He's 5-0 with a 169 May earned run average for Miami.
Tell you, this guy's done a nice job filling in for Dee Gordon. He's not the defensive player that Gordon is by any means, but he's a very good offensive middle infielder. He's had a good month of May as well, hitting over 300 and a 400 on base percentage. And I believe he's out of Georgia Tech. Oh, good pitch.
He is. Derek was a semifinalist for the 2010 Golden Spikes Award. Hit .256 in 90 games last year. One and two. Came from Tampa Bay for Yunel Escobar before the 2013 season. And now a 1-2 count. Runner at first goes. It's a bouncing ball to Freeman. Freddie pounces off the bag and makes the play to retire the side. Long inning for Miami. Ozuna continues to sizzle. He drives in 1 of 2 for the Fish.
Baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
Well, there's old Andy Messersmith's Braves jersey. There you see it, channel 17. And of course, we've got the Ichiro jersey situation. For more on that, let's check in with Kelsey.
Thanks, Joe. You know, I did some digging on it. Now, he actually was the first player in professional baseball in Japan to have a 200-hit season. So they wanted, the surname, it's a very common surname there, Suzuki is. So one of the marketing managers there for the team he played for in Japan kind of pounced on the idea and let him put his first name on the back. So on the scoreboards, it would say his first name because he was such a big deal over in Japan. People knew exactly who he was. So that stuck with him through his professional time here in the MLB. It all started back when he played in Japan.
That's great in Japan. Kelsey, thank you.
Gordon Beckham leads off for Atlanta, trailing 2-0, and strike over the outside edge, 2-2. Yeah, there aren't many players named Suzuki in the North American major leagues. But I don't think Ichiro's going to be changing anytime soon. And a lower foul.
You're right. And I wouldn't call it a situation. I just was pointing out something that's he may have I guess the only jersey in baseball with his first name on it
I can think of. Yeah.
So why is he privileged to do that?
I mean, our pitcher tonight could put his first name on there, Williams, and no one would know because
you're right.
He's the man with two last names. As Beckham takes a walk after Conley was given a 2-run lead. There's a nice start for the Braves. One on with nobody out.
Think of all the Johnsons in Major League Baseball. Just put Kelly on there.
Yeah, we could. Right. Why not?
All right, let's get some runs.
There you go. Freeman was hit by a pitch his first time up. Story of the night for Atlanta offensively so far. Missed opportunities in the first 2 innings. Braves are 0 for 5 in RISP. And bounced foul. It's 0-2. Can't remember the last time Freddie had a 2-0 3-1 count.
Yeah, he's been aggressive, that's for sure.
And Real Muto can't handle that one. That's back to the screen. And Beckham moves up 90 feet on a wild pitch.
Yeah, he didn't even shift his body. We're used to seeing him be very active back there.
Right off his knuckles, back to the screen. It's another 1-2 count. Swing and a miss. Freeman is down on strikes. Freddie now 1 for his last 22 with a runner in scoring position. Beckham at second. 1 out for Tyler Flowers.
I don't think that was a changeup. Like a little short slider. Had a little dip in it.
Tyler struck out his first time up in the Braves first inning. Flowers got hit by that pitch. So Conley's plunked a pair of Braves batters, Freeman and now Flowers, and that brings up Nick Markakis.
He almost got hit by a pitch his first time up. I'm not sure how the pitch missed him in the first inning. This one gets him on the back foot. Poor catchers, man, they get dinged up enough.
Nick Markakis fouled out to Martin Prado to end the Braves first. And that's into the seats for a strike. 0-1 for Nick. One ball, one strike.
Nick pinch hit last night in the 6th inning when the Braves had something going at runners at second and third, and he came up with 2 outs and just hit a rocket to center field that Neuenhuis was able to track down.
Strike 3. Markakis is retired. 2 men down. Second strikeout of the inning.
Let's take a look here. Nick didn't like it. Does look low. And on Fox track shows it's right on the bottom of the line of the strike zone. Or nicked it.
Francoeur hit the first pitch for a solid single. Let's see what he gets with 2 on, now 2 out. Off speed and in for a strike.
Conley went 4-1 when he was called up last year. Made 11 starts for Miami. Minor leagues coming up to the big leagues. He was 34-21 with a 3.52 ERA. Good numbers.
He was their organizational pitcher of the year last year. Between the minor leagues and the major leagues, he was 13-4 with a 3-point ERA. And as Joe said, very early this year flirted with a no-hitter against the Brewers. They've got their #1 starter, Jose Fernandez. They're trying to figure out who will slot in where behind him in rotation. Conley's got a 2-run lead. The pitch to Jeff is down and in. Full count. like Wei-Yin Chen a lot. He's a veteran left-hander. We'll see Kohler, as Joe said, it's almost a major league rule that he has to pitch in a series against the Braves.
This will be an interesting pitch selection. 3-2. See how much confidence he's got in his changeup.
And skied toward right. And Ichiro is there. And that retires the side. Once again, for the third straight inning, the Braves threat can't break through. Still 2-0 Miami after 3.
Braves Baseball is sponsored by Delta Airlines, your local Ford dealer, The Home Depot, and Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports.
Beautiful night in Atlanta. Nice crowd has gathered for the start of our Memorial Day weekend here at Turner Field. We'll have fireworks after the game. Hopefully, Braves can come back and support Williams Perez, who's given up a couple of runs this evening. Braves have stranded 6 in their first 3 innings of offensive work so far. In the Miami fourth, Cole Gillespie, Adeiny Hechavarria, and Adam Conley are coming up. And a strike. Great to see all the kids at the ballpark here in Atlanta. All 30 Major League Baseball clubs are celebrating Play Ball Weekend, a league-wide support effort, as Gillespie rips a single on a strike one pitch. This Major League Baseball effort is trying to increase youth participation in baseball and softball. It's an extension of Major League Baseball's Play Ball initiative and a real pet project of Commissioner Rob Manfred. That was something he talked to us at our Fox seminar a couple of years ago about outreach for America's youth, getting them back involved in baseball again.
And the Braves do a great job of supporting that locally. Whether it's the I can't remember the initials, but for inner city,
the RBI program.
RBI, that's it.
Reviving baseball in the inner cities is what that acronym stands for. Players all wore special Play Ball t-shirts during warm-ups today. You may have seen earlier some patches on the uniform tops that said Play Ball, so that's been noticeable. And of course, the writing on the grass down the first and third base line signifying Play Ball Weekend. Great looking logo, great effort. And it's not just the United States, but Canada as well, where Major League Baseball is focusing on this outreach. Baseball and softball. 1 ball, no strikes for Adeiny Hechavarria. Miami was 6 hits in the game. Williams Perez had an easy second inning. He got the Marlins on fewer than 10 pitches. Then struck out Conley to start the third. Then 3 straight hits. And him trailing 2-zip. Might remember a couple of years ago all the frustration down in Miami when the Marlins unloaded guys like Mark Burley and Jose Reyes and Josh Johnson to the Toronto Blue Jays. Fans were livid after all they had been promised with their new ballpark and Ozzie Guillen as the manager. Well, Henderson Alvarez, Anthony DeSclafani, Escobar, Mathis, Jake Marisnick, Nicolino, and Edeni Echeverria came back from Toronto in that deal. And this one's tapped slowly out towards second. There's only one play to first. Echeverria is retired. He advances Gillespie to second, and Conley's going to dig in.
Gillespie, no stolen bases, and Williams was doing a good job of holding him close by throwing over. But like Milwaukee, unlike Milwaukee, I should say, these guys don't run much. The Marlins in the stolen base department are 13th out of 15 teams in the National League. The Braves are 9th. If that gives you any comparison in stolen bases. They also don't hit and run much.
Well, that leads me to a question. Obviously, Dee Gordon, who led Major League Baseball in steals, is one reason for that.
Good point.
But think how, I don't want to say difficult it must be, but think how big a challenge it must be for the Marlins players, their staff, their manager, to have to change their style of play almost on a dime with Dee Gordon down because of suspension. Running was a huge part of their game, and the havoc he created on the bases, they don't have that now.
No, they don't.
But they have played to a 25-22 record without Gordon, without Giancarlo Stanton doing much, as Conley's down on strikes, and with Yelich ailing at the moment.
But what they have done to make up for it is that their runs are coming, the production is coming all up and down their lineup, not just at the top of the order, getting Gordon on, steals second, and somebody driving him in. Every guy in the lineup has been hot, so they're producing runs at the bottom of the order now too.
There's a lot to like on this team. I think I like their club. We're not seeing it at full strength yet, as Ichiro slaps one toward left. Francoeur got a good jump, drifts back, makes the grab, and Ichiro and the Marlins are done in the fourth. No runs, a hit, a man left. Bottom part of the Braves orders coming up. 2-0 in our first game of the series. Time for our cold hard facts, brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light.
Well, that's why when this series was being set up and we saw that the Marlins were going to have 2 lefties going in the first 2 games, you felt a little concerned for Atlanta because of these numbers against left-handed pitching. Last, most strikeouts, and it is not without foundation. It's a problem.
Braves are 4-12 against left-handed starters this year, and 12-34 overall. Chase d'Arnaud, Eric Aybar, and Williams Perez are coming up. d'Arnaud singled his first time up. The Braves have 4 hits. They have been given 2 hit batsmen and a walk, yet have gone 0 for 8 already with runners in scoring position tonight.
0 for 8 were in the third through 3 innings offensively. Dang it.
Broken bat. Dietrich backs up and makes the play. And that's what's so frustrating. Again, I don't think of our broadcast as one that just focuses solely on numbers, but they do tell you trends about how your team wins or loses games. With the Braves' struggles against lefties, with their struggles against any pitcher with runners in scoring position, their lack of power, when you give up a run early to the opponent, it's been almost impossible for the Braves to come back and win, and that's the frustrating thing. 1 hit here or there early in the game, you might have a 2-1 or 2-2 game. And another Braves batter gets plunked. This time it's Aybar, who's sitting right on top of home plate, and that sounded solid. When that hit him, the ball did not ricochet at all. It hit him and stuck. And Aybar has hardly moved a muscle as he sits right on top of the dish.
Oh, on the ankle. That wasn't on the toe like for Flowers. That got him on the instep or the ankle. Eric's going, no, don't do that. That hurts.
Conley had hit only 2 batters in 47 innings coming into this game. He's hit 3 men tonight.
Well, and I told you at the beginning of the broadcast how he pitches right-handers in. We've seen evidence of that already.
So Aybar is going to gingerly make his way to first base.
He's still hurting.
Yeah, he's going to stay in the game, or at least try to.
I got some bad news for him. Perez is probably going to bunt here. Be asked to bunt here, so he's going to need to get a good jump on that.
Williams popped up a bunt his first time up. Conley, the pitcher, made the catch. Aybar at first, 1 out. And not close. 1 ball, no strikes. There's a pretty bunt. Oh, and Perez almost stepped on the baseball. He laid that ball down beautifully and then ran right past it. He gets the sacrifice down. Aybar's at second, 2 outs. Watch this.
Really softened it nicely. Now sidestepping it.
Second sacrifice for Williams. And Inciarte's the batter. That missed inside. 1 ball, no strikes. Ender has a 6-game hitting streak now and has hit safely in 11 of his 13 starts. And a little tapper out toward Dietrich. He's got it. Shovels to first and in time. And that will retire the side. Braves 0 for 9 with a runner in scoring position and trailed by 2 after 4. Eric Ibar for giving it the old college try after getting hit on the right ankle, but he could not continue, and Daniel Castro checks in for him defensively as we get set for the 5th inning. Don't forget, Braves Live is coming your way after our ball game tonight. As always, it's presented by Xfinity. Brian Snitker Joe has tried just about every combination he can think of to try to shake things up, get something going for this Braves offense. What are you seeing from the Atlanta batsmen with runners on base and more specifically in scoring position?
I just know that teams, when they're having trouble scoring runs, that it does get it gets in your head a little bit because you start trying to do too much. And Brian alluded to that last night in his post-game comments without coming out and saying it directly. But the point is, everybody wants to try to do a little too much. Let me be the guy that helps get us out of this funk. And
just fouled by Prado. 0-2.
When you try too hard, it makes the game that much harder. And I think there is definitely some of that. Everybody on this team recognizes it, that the team has been getting good pitching. Last 8 starters, ERA is 2.66. That's good enough to win. That's good enough to win in any league. So the run support is lacking, and especially that runners in scoring position. If there was a way to fix it, you would. There's just no way that you can come out and hit early. You can't work on something with runners in scoring position. It's just something that hopefully, I think as Brian put it last night, you get, I think he called it split a gap or something like that, when the Braves need one big hit to split a gap, bring home a couple of guys and open up the floodgates.
And even with the offensive struggles, still a 2-0 game.
Well, that's the way it's been.
Yeah.
The games have been close.
Grounded toward first. Nice play by Freeman, and a perfect underhanded feed to first. That was a pretty play.
Martin giving him the business. A good pair of hands right there. Good play by Freeman.
Martin was talking to him the whole way to the first base bag, and after he made the left turn, look at it.
I said, you're not that good. But he knows he is. He played with him.
Marcell Ozuna is 2 for 2. And if you missed it last night, Martin was absolutely beaming before the game today. Went to see him down in the Marlins clubhouse. He's the proud father of a 6-week-old baby girl, Martina. And he just couldn't stop talking about the new baby girl, talked about how wonderfully life-changing it was, and added, by the way, it's nice to be able to get on the road and get some sleep. But what a terrific player Prado has been, certainly with the Braves. Talking to some of the Marlins people about his role on that club, he has really grown into one of their big-time vocal leaders.
He's still mad,
and that's why they love him. He is a perfectionist. There isn't a guy on that team that wants to win more than Martin Prado does. Did he go that time? Yep, he did, and Ozuna is ready to fire the bat. But he's retired for the first time. 2 up and 2 down.
Yeah, he checked his swing on the one before, and they said he didn't go. Remember, we were trying to figure out if he's still fishing for some of those breaking balls, and definitely went on that one.
Three strikeouts for Perez. And here's Justin Bour, who has singled, grounded out, and has an RBI. Marlins have a couple of former Braves on their roster. You know all about Martin Prado. Chris Johnson, former third baseman for Atlanta, seeing some time for them at first base, I beg your pardon. And Mike Dunn, relief pitcher, who's injured right now. 3 former Braves playing for the Marlins. Easy inning for Williams Perez. Atlanta back up. We go to the 5th.
Your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. The Georgia Lottery. And Zaxby's Indescribably Good.
2-0 Miami. Perhaps the 5th inning is the frame where the Braves will break through against Adam Conley. Nice crowd tonight. Let's see if Beckham and the Bravos can reward them with a comeback. It's a 2-0 score. Beckham's reached twice. He singled and walked. And takes a strike.
You're right, Chip. A lot of kids at the ballpark tonight, too. Great to see.
That's ripped down the left field line and into the seats.
Big crowds expected tomorrow night for the bobblehead night and for Sunday afternoon. Actually a 5:05 start on Sunday for the Chris Stapleton concert.
I mean, even Santa Claus is at the ballpark.
Is he?
Did you see him?
Missed it. Well, where there's kids.
I mean, if you're coming to the game, Santa, you got to work on the beard. You got to come incognito. Otherwise, you won't be able to watch the game. All the kids will want to sit on your lap like that guy. Oh, 2 pitch all the way to the screen. Still 1-2.
Gordon's had a good month. Talked about him a lot. Now he's using the whole field, but he's got a good swing working. You know, guys talk all the time about, you know, I found something, or I feel locked in right now, and a lot of it has to do with seeing the ball, waiting, and trusting your hands, and Gordon's been doing that.
That one's golfed into center field, and Ozuna puts it away for the first out. Hard hit ball, but Beckham's perfect night comes to an end. And once again, Freddie Freeman. Talked about the odd reverse splits for Adam Conley. Lefties this year have worn him out. Left-handed batters for the Braves so far tonight are 1 for 6 against him. And the oddest stat of all, he'd only struck out 4 left-handed hitters all year.
That is weird, isn't it?
He's gotten Markakis once and Freeman once tonight.
Well, his best pitch, arguably his best pitch, is his changeup. It's a good strikeout pitch for right-handers, and he apparently is reluctant to use it against left-handed hitters.
And Freeman goes the other way with a 1-strike base hit. His first hit of the night. And Tyler Flowers with 1 swing could tie it up.
Another fastball, 2 in a row. That one on the inner third, and a nice inside-out approach by Freddie there. Look at that. How he stayed back on that one. He didn't drift like last night.
And that's something you've been talking about with Freddie, kind of
getting his upper body forward, and it slows his hands down. That time, even on that inside-out swing, he was staying back much better than we saw last night.
1 on 1 out for the Braves catcher Tyler Flowers, who is one of 3 Braves to be hit by a pitch tonight. Freeman, Flowers, and Ibar have been hit. Ibar has left the game. Daniel Castro's batting in his spot, which is 8th.
Yeah, that's the thing. They've had base runners. They have 5 hits. Is that right? Yeah, 5 hits, 3 at batsmen, a walk, and I don't think, just 1 guy's made it to third base.
0 for 9 in RISP. 2 balls, no strikes. Mark Bowman had a stat on the Braves' offensive problems on the homestand. Braves have played 34 innings, 5 runs, 35 left on base.
Well, that hurts.
So the opportunities are there, but who's going to knock? A strike for Tyler, taking on 3-0.
Tyler's certainly been doing his share of it. His average, as we showed you earlier, much better with guys on base.
Good rip and a full count. That's down the right field line. And Flowers will face another 3-2 pitch.
This guy's been very good on the road compared to Marlins Park. 2-0, 273, low batting average against. And what always strikes me about that is what a good pitcher's park his home park is.
Very surprising, isn't it? Good battle here with Tyler Flowers. He's fouled off 3 in a row. Swing and a fly ball, well hit center. Ozuna back. It's off the wall. Here comes Freeman around third. Drop by Echeverria. It's a 2-1 game.
Once again, Tyler Flowers gets the Braves on the board with some good hitting with men on base, and he does some of his best work to center and right center. This was a bolt, just missed getting out of here and tying the game.
So it's a double and an RBI for Flowers. 5 of his last 7 hits have gone for extra bases, and all of a sudden Atlanta's down only a run with Markakis up.
And I love what Bo Porter did there. He was going to try to get a run at any cost, wave Freddie Freeman around, and as it turned out, the Marlins botched the relay.
So Markakis, the hitter. Nick has popped out and struck out looking. And he goes the other way for a base hit. Gillespie bobbles, but no further advance. So Markakis snaps an 0 for 19 slide with an opposite field hit. And the Braves are in business, first and third, with 1 out. Their first hit of the night with a runner in scoring position. And to tell you how things are going, it doesn't score a run.
Yeah, but one right here, Mike. Of course, Tyler had to wait, make sure that ball went through before he advanced.
So the middle innings, which have been problematic for Conley this year, have been problematic here in the 5th. 3 consecutive hits after Beckham lined out to straightaway center. So Braves have hit the ball pretty hard in this inning against him.
Juan Nieves is the pitching coach. He threw a no-hitter way back when for Milwaukee. So Francoeur likes that first pitch. Let's see what happens here on the first one.
Jeff has worn out lefties all year. Hitting .500 against him. And that one too high to offer. 1 ball, no strikes. Flowers at third, Markakis at first. Freeman has scored. Way outside. 2-1 your count.
Don't have to hit a 3-run homer here. Look for a pitch to hit hard. Fly ball ties the game up.
Fly ball toward left. Gillespie can't get there. That'll drop for a hit. Francoeur ties it up with a 1-out single.
Now we're talking.
you say about an inning ago? It only takes one to take all the pressure off, and then they come in bunches. Back-to-back hits with runner in scoring position, and the Braves have tied the score.
Jeff came in hitting .320 against lefties. He's 2 for 3 tonight. Fought that off a little bit, but dropped it in there nicely. His 12th RBI.
Wow. And that's going to be the end of the line for Conley. Don Mattingly is going to go get his young left-hander at the 90 pitch mark. And he's got no chance to win the game. He had to pitch 5 and leave with the lead. Instead, he leaves tied, and the 2 on belong to him. How about that?
Sponsored by Synovus, the Bank of Here, Georgia Power, and Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports.
Braves have tied the Marlins and still bat in the home 5th. 4 consecutive hits for the Braves have chased Adam Conley. And now we'll get our first look at a man that may be being groomed as a future closer for Miami. It's the pride of Purdue University, Nick Whitgren.
Yeah, he was called up when they put Morris on the disabled list. This is his 3rd stint with the team. Low 90s fastball with a good curveball and a changeup. He was pitching well at New Orleans. 1-0 with a 1.42 ERA and a couple of saves.
Holds Purdue career records for saves and strikeouts per 9 innings. He has never started a game in the minor leagues. He has been groomed to close games out. Minor league career coming into this season, 79 for 92 in saves. And the first man he'll face is Chase d'Arnaud. Lashes one out of play, foul, and back into the seats. 0-1. d'Arnaud's been swinging a hot bat for the Braves over the last week. We showed you that earlier. Let's see if he can chase home Markakis and put the Braves in front. 93 on the outside corner works.
Yeah, and this guy, interesting delivery, really turns that front shoulder and then still throws across his body. His stride is right toward the right-handed hitter. See that curveball right here.
A little roller out toward second. Dietrich's got it. Throw to first is in time. And a nice bit of base running there by Jeff Francoeur to stop. That keeps the inning alive instead of running into a double play. And that will bring Daniel Castro to the plate.
Heads up play, recognized right away what Dietrich was wanting to do. And d'Arnaud's hustle to first base almost led that out, with Dietrich trying to get a double play out of it.
So Daniel Castro, second and third, 2 outs. Ripped foul, and then almost took Nick Markakis with it.
Well, he kind of telegraphed that changeup too. That's why Daniel got such a good swing at it. Kind of slowed his whole arm action down, and Daniel was all over it.
And in case you didn't know, Markakis is Greek for flying feet.
Yes, yes, it is.
And that came in handy on that hot smash. No balls, 2 strikes. Here comes the 0-2. Back toward us. And just underneath. Nationals are losing tonight. Mets are winning tonight. The Cubs already beat the Phillies today, 6-2 at Wrigley. Here it's a 2-2 game between Eastern rivals Miami and Atlanta. And the 0-2 pitch to Castro is out of play.
And that kid's supposed to pitch for the Dodgers tomorrow?
Tonight.
Tonight.
He's going tonight, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Urias. And he gave up 3 runs early. And he's facing Jacob deGrom for the Mets. And first 19-year-old to pitch for the Dodgers from the left side since Sandy Koufax. And he debuted in New York. Three strikeouts, 2 earned runs. Excuse me, 3 earned runs in 2 2/3 innings for the Dodgers phenom Urias. Julio Urias. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And another pitch under the chin.
Fans are reacting to Daniel's reaction, but Daniel's kind of diving into the plate, and it's making them look a little closer than they are. I'm not taking anything away from trying to get out of the way. Trust me, especially up around your chin. A part of that is Daniel trying to guard the plate.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And out of play. I mean, look how into this game the fans are. Even they're wearing the eye black.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, the Braves fans are loyal. They're trying to do anything they can to help. They want to see a W tonight.
Good battle here with Castro. That's headed toward us. And just to our left.
You were ready, though.
Thankfully. Hands like a sturgeon, Joe.
A little scaly.
Yeah. Pitch number 9 coming up for Daniel Castro. In for Ibar. Got hit on the ankle. The delivery is out of play to the right side.
That away, Daniel.
2 runs on 4 hits so far for the Braves. Markakis and Francoeur in scoring position. And this one's popped up. Will it stay in play? No, it won't. Daniels just reeling him in.
Well, there's a couple of little ones.
Swing and a fly ball hit toward left center field, but that's going to be caught by Gillespie. What a battle by Daniel Castro. The Braves finally break through. They score 2 runs on 4 hits, and we've got a new ball game in Atlanta.
For your Xfinity game break, we will head to Wrigley. The Cubs are hosting. The Phillies will start you out in the 4th inning. A familiar face there. That is former Brave David Ross with a 3-run shot to make it 5-1. And guys, that was actually his 100th career home run. Now we'll head to the 5th. Chris Bryant with the solo shot to extend the lead to 6-1. And the ball landed in the street, and some fans actually got in a little wrestling match outside to get that ball. The Cubs beat the Phils 6-2 in game 1.
It looks like the guy had it in his glove. Try to take it out of his glove.
Those ball hawks are vicious out there at Wrigley Field, aren't they? And how about the Cubs now? That gigantic run differential for the Chicago Cubs this year. As Real Muto goes to work, new life for Williams Perez. The Cubs have now scored 265 runs. They've given up 200 and that's not right. Hold on. Let's see here. Cubs run differential. It's gigantic. It was over 100 runs difference. It's 123. Positive run differential for the Cubs, a quarter of the way through the season.
And the first team to 32 wins.
Amazing.
They're 17-8 on the road.
Well, they're good. I mean, there's no mistaking.
Yeah.
We've got Arrieta at the top. Hendricks has pitched great. Bullpen's been good. They have nice deep offensive rotation. They haven't missed Kyle Schwarber at all, with all due respect to him. And the Cubs have a nice healthy lead in the National League Central. At the moment, 5 games over the Pirates. As this one's rolled toward third, D'Arnaud charges, and look at that strong and accurate throw.
Boys, he got a loose arm, Chip.
Yeah, the more we see him, the more I see him, the more I like him.
Oh, it's just fun to watch. He's a baseball player. Keep telling everybody that this guy, doesn't matter where you play him. Doesn't matter where you put him in the order. Watch this loose arm throw over there. And by that, I mean he can throw from any arm angle. We've seen him have to backpedal to get a hop and gun one to first. Now you see him charging the ball. Real Muto runs real well for a catcher, by the way. He's playing good baseball, taking advantage of every opportunity.
That's something you have said since our first spring telecast down at Walt Disney World. There is opportunity on this team.
You're going to get chances. You're going to get probably more than 1 or 2 chances, and it's up to the players to make the best of it. And Chase has been doing just that since he got called up.
And Williams Perez has gotten a second chance in rotation. Remember, he was sent down to Gwinnett to straighten some things out. Since he's come back, he's been terrific. A 2-1 record this month. Gave up a couple of runs in the third. He's shut down Miami Sits as Dietrich on an 0-2 count singles through the shift and is aboard for the Marlins. And Cole Gillespie's coming up. He's 1 for 2. So that hit by Dietrich ends a streak of 7 straight Marlins retired by Williams Perez. And Gillespie, with a single last time, digs in again. Sharply hit to second. Beckham backed up. Castro glides across the bag, and that retires the side. Nice play by Beckham to give a little ground, and then a perfect flip to Daniel, and the inning is over. Perez will lead off for Atlanta in the 6th. 2-2's your score. The bottom of the 6th inning. Hope you'll join us for movie night at Turner Field Saturday, June 11th, and watch the Braves and Cubs at 4 o'clock. Check out what movie we'll be playing at braves.com/movie. It'll be a perfect ending to an exciting afternoon at the ballpark.
Magnificent Seven.
That'd be great. You know, we could bring back something that was very successful on the Superstation back in the TBS days. As Malik Smith goes to work. I was doing a game with my dad one night, and Dad, as he used to ask him,
Glenn, what's the movie after the game?
And it was Stephen King's masterful thriller Cat's Eye. So we decided that it'd be a great idea if the fans wrote a synopsis and a movie summary for the presentation.
So maybe we could have the fans who stay for the movie write an essay and send it into our producer Brian Woodrum, and we pick a winner and maybe get him tickets to a game or something. What do you think? Bouncing ball by Malix, and it's a leadoff single in the 6th.
I don't know if you could tell, Chip, but your microphone just got cut off. So,
well, I can tell you there's another producer who's glad I didn't bring that up last night. So a good start for Atlanta in a tie game. Malix Smith batting for Perez.
and he's hitting for Perez. So let's see if the Braves can manufacture a run for Williams and give him a lead as he departs.
.80 pitches for Perez in his 6 innings. And here's Ender Inciarte. Ender's 1 for 3 tonight. First inning single, tried to stretch it into a double and was thrown out. Bud Norris is the man up in the Braves bullpen. And Ender skies one out of play foul. It's 0-1. So Magnificent Seven, is that your all-time fave? Is that your best?
That's the best Western ever made.
But I mean, is that your best movie period? Is that your favorite?
No, it's just that genre.
Yeah. And Ciarte stabbed at that bunt, didn't get it. 0-2. Braves finally snapped their long hitless streak with runners in scoring position tonight. 2 runs in their last inning, tie it up. Malix, as you know, has blazing speed. He's still learning how to be successful as a base stealer at the major league level. He's been caught more times than he's been successful. And he had a real frustrating caught stealing. I think his last one, he had the bag stolen, but he popped up, came off the bag, and was tagged out.
Right.
So that real hard, aggressive slide into second base is something he said he's got to try to minimize and improve upon.
Real Muto at 36%.
That's hit to left. Gillespie's got it measured up, and there's out number 1. Malix is back at first. Gordon Beckham hit it hard last time up, lined out to center. He's also got a single and a walk tonight.
Little hit and run, maybe.
Something else the Braves have tried to counsel Malix on is being patient before he attempts to make a stolen base try.
If you don't know the pitcher, maybe watch him throw a few pitches to the plate. See if he can pick up a first move. I would just guess, after I told you earlier that he kind of tucks his shoulder, Whitgren, that he might be able to pick that up on his shoulder. He also kind of flexes his left foot. It's more like a real quick kick. Might see something in the back of his knee.
Malix is running, and it's line foul past first. Look at Eddie Perez. That whistled by him, and he had his hands atop the helmet. One ball, one strike.
The art of the stolen base, I don't want to say is a lost art. It's not nearly as big in our sport as it was 30, 40 years ago when you had Vince Coleman and Willie McGee, and even earlier Lou Brock, Rickey Henderson, and the like. I would imagine it's really, really difficult for a player like Mallex Smith to come to the big leagues and try to run against guys that maybe he's seen a time or two in the minor leagues, or in most cases has never seen at AAA or the major league level, to try to find those cues that'll give him a chance to be successful. As this one's hit high in the air toward left, Gillespie shy of the track has it. Beckham hit it hard again. 2 deep flyouts, and now 2 are out. But the fast runners and the good base stealers, I would assume, Joe, too, it doesn't take them long to pick out those things that are triggers for them. You've seen this man pitch for an inning plus, and you already noticed 2 things that might be keys.
That would be the first place I would look, I think, after watching his delivery. But you can watch video these days about how a guy pitches people. You can also watch him out of the stretch, and that's something that will come over time for Mallex too.
Freddie Freeman had an opposite field hit and scored a run last time up, and takes a strike.
That particular pitch, it looked like it was almost like a slide step quick pitch from Whitgren, but he was already kind of leaning to home plate by the time he picked his foot up. If you see a guy doing that, you can take off too.
The Marlins outfield very deep for Freddie. And high, 1-1. Braves didn't get many chances to run in the series with Milwaukee, with Jonathan Lucroy back there. Martin Maldonado also throws well. Now they've got Real Muto, who, as Joe said, is in the 30% range at catching base stealers. Dietrich in the outfield grass at second, awaits a 2-1 pitch for Freddie Freeman, and he pops it up. Gillespie is under, and he's got it, and that will retire the side. Off we go to the 7th. Still tied at 2. Schuerholz and Andrew Jones into the Braves Hall of Fame at a luncheon on Friday, August 19th. Get your tickets before they're all gone. All guests are guaranteed to sit with a current or former Braves player, coach, alumnus, or Hall of Fame member. Call 404-614-2310 for more information or to order your tickets today.
Bud Norris's last 2 outings against Milwaukee, an inning and a third total, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. One of those resulted in a loss.
Adeiny Hechavarria leads off, and then Christian Yelich. He's grabbed a bat and stands on deck. And a laser beam hit to the right side and out of play. Still 0-2.
Hechavarria is one of those guys that when they first got him from Toronto and he's playing in the big leagues, he's kind of slender, slightly built. You just had a feeling he was going to fill out and get stronger, because early on you could just about knock the bat out of his hands. Not anymore.
1 ball, 2 strikes. All the way to the backstop, evens up the count. What do you think of young shortstops in our league now that Andrelton Simmons is an Angel? This guy's got to be at or near the top of the list defensively. We'll see another great one in Brandon Crawford when the Giants come to town beginning next week.
And a very unheralded one just left. BR.
Play foul into the upper deck. We haven't seen a kid's story out of Colorado. Who's hitting a ton of home runs. You know all about Freddie Galvis with the Phillies and Ledmus Diaz of the Cardinals. But this man would not be a bad guy to choose if you had to pick him first as a shortstop. And this one's hit in the air toward right center. Markakis is there. And Nick makes the play for the all-important first out of the 7th inning. And here is Yelich. Yelich, another really talented player.
And you can see by looking at those numbers, a .420 on base percentage, how much they miss him in the lineup. I know they're scoring a ton of runs. They'd be scoring a ton and a half if he were healthy and playing.
This is his first game action since May 20th. Back spasms, and I know you mentioned that last night or the night before. For a young player with back issues, boy, that's a big yellow flag, isn't it?
Yeah, he missed time last year with back problems. And I may be way off on this. I can't. It seems to me it all started with a play in the outfield. Maybe he crashed into the wall, something like that, that kind of started all that. He can flat out hit.
And he qualifies as a Braves killer. Last 13 games against Atlanta. 13 games. He has 23 hits, 8 doubles, a triple, and 6 RBIs.
Wow.
And he just drew a 4-pitch walk with 1 out.
I was curious if they would let him run for himself. He must have gone through some protocol today to prove that he was okay both running and swinging.
Yelich with 25 walks now. That's second on the team to Giancarlo Stanton. He does have 3 stolen bases, so let's see what Miami does with Ichiro up there. Ichiro doubled on an 0-2 pitch in the 3rd inning and scored the first Marlins run on an Ozuna double to center field. And a little looper foul. Darno gave a chase but couldn't catch up.
Even at his age, when Suzuki's taking batting practice before the game, he's hitting balls to the far reaches of the stadium. He was hitting them halfway up in the bleachers just below the chop house. He was hitting them up in the terrace level down the line in right field. It's not all about taking two and going to right or going to left in his batting practice.
Well, I mentioned that earlier tonight. For a man that has almost 3,000 hits in the major leagues, 2,961, 2,412 of them are singles. So who's to say that a singles hitter can't be a Hall of Fame caliber hitter? And Ichiro will be one of them.
If you watch him, he has a real slight trigger. He doesn't really move his hands that much, but he rotates his shoulders. He just turns his shoulder back a little bit, his front one, and that gets him started, and then something to watch from there.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Certainly not a back foot hitter. He is a guy moving to the ball.
Fly ball right, but right at Markakis, who backpedals. Ichiro's retired, 2 out. Ichiro had a big throw last year too. Not only did he have 91 hits, but he got to pitch in a game. On October 4th against the Phillies, he finally got to pitch in the major leagues. Might still be icing his arm.
Well, he's always had a good arm. And a great outfielder.
Here's Martin Prado with 2 outs. And that missed low. Prado came in hitting .339. That's where he stands now. 4th best batting average in the National League. Almost impossible to strike him out. Martinez struck out just 16 times all year long. He's the toughest man to strike out in the National League.
And his average is actually down a little bit because he had gone through a 6 for 31 stretch, and it was 6 for 32 before his single in the 3rd inning. But he already has 1 hit and got robbed of another by Freeman.
Popped up, and Prado just drops the bat, drops his head too in frustration as Norris gets him to fly out to right, and a 1-out walk is left stranded as we head to the stretch in Atlanta. Center, Osuna back. It's off the wall. It's a 2-1 game. Fly ball toward left. Gillespie can't get there. That'll drop for a hit. Francoeur ties it up with a 1-out single. So time for our Toyota key plays. You just saw them a moment ago. No decision for Williams Perez, but Joe, 6 very effective innings again tonight.
Yeah, and only 80 pitches, too. He pitched really well, and I thought he was pitching his best ball right there in the middle innings, 4th, 5th, and 6th. He was very good. And RBIs tonight for Francoeur and Flowers. Flowers doing it again with men in scoring position. Marcell Ozuna continues his hot streak. He's reached now in 34 straight games.
So new pitcher out there for Miami. 3rd of the night. It's Kyle Barraclough. This is his 21st.
Dunkin' Donuts' favorite pitcher. 21st game. 29 strikeouts in 16 2/3 innings. And he can bring it. 95 to 97 or 8 with a slider. He's got a changeup too, but if you're throwing 95, 97, who cares?
Yeah. Got him from the Cardinals for Steve Cishek on July 24th last season. And the first Tyler Flowers is popped out of play. And Tyler's down a strike. Barraclough has faced the Braves 6 times, 5 scoreless innings. And was the winning pitcher Wednesday for the Marlins against Tampa Bay, a new single season high. He was 2-1 last year.
He's got a deliberate leg kick right over the top, kind of a short arm delivery. Almost makes you think that he was another one of those Cardinals pitchers that was converted from catching.
Yeah, Jason Mott was one of them. David Carpenter, who used to pitch for the Braves, was a former catcher. One ball, 2 strikes. And a beautiful breaking ball. Flowers was frozen. Barraclough gets his first man. Flowers objects. He's the first out.
Might have thought it broke around the plate. Might have had an argument.
Nick Markakis with a 5th inning single. Has him moving in the right direction again. Nick was 0 for 19 before that base hit. It was the first hit for the Braves in 28 at bats with a runner in scoring position. It didn't score a run, but it brought Jeff Francoeur to the plate, and Jeff tied it up with a hit. So that's where we stand. 2-2, 2 runs on 9 hits for Atlanta. The Braves have left 10 on base. Miami with 2 runs, 7 hits. They've stranded 6. It's been an errorless game to this point.
But as you alluded to earlier, Chip, 10 men left on base. More and more opportunities. West ball. This guy's fastball is on you. There's no real long arm action, like it's a timing so that you know exactly when it's going to come out of his hand. It is short and snappy. Kind of like Glenn Diamond you were talking about earlier.
No question. Marlins pen, 8 wins, 7 losses. They have 6 blown saves this year, averaging slightly less than a strikeout per inning pitched. And a 1-out walk to Markakis. Nick's aboard for a second time. And Jeff Francoeur with a 2 for 3 night is going to dig in. Jeff's not just hitting the lefties lately either. He's getting good cuts against lefties and righties.
Yeah, his splits still don't look real good. Right-handers, I think he's still hitting about $190. But that's deceiving because he's been getting a lot of hits, especially to right field off right-handed hitters. You're right.
'96.
Well, I hope he throws Jeff 2 more of those. See if Jeff can catch up to one of them.
And even if he's late, he's got a huge hole on the right side to play with Bohr holding Markakis at first base. And a base hit for Francoeur. He broke his bat, but 2 are on with 1 out, and Jeff has a 3-hit night tonight. His second 3-hit game of the year.
He's closing in on 280. And that was another fastball. This one out away from him, hit it off the end of the bat, but found some pasture.
Jace d'Arnaud has a single in 3 trips. Let's see if he can be a 7th inning hero for Atlanta and give the Braves their first lead of the night. Ball 1. One ball, no strikes as we close in on 10 o'clock Eastern time in Atlanta. And upstairs. After d'Arnaud bats, Daniel Castro will be the Braves hitter. Remember, Castro came on in the 5th inning after Eric Aybar was hit by an Adam Conley pitch. It hit him in the ankle. Just were notified that x-rays were taken. Those x-rays were negative. It's a right foot contusion officially for Eric Aybar. Swing and a miss.
I mean, it was flush.
That's rolled foul at first. And it's a 2-2 count. Cardinals beat Washington 6-2. Tonight, Cubs beat the Phillies 6-2. Mets 5, Dodgers 1. That game to the 9th in New York.
Well, they had a gully washer in Chicago too in the middle of that game.
they?
I think like the 7th inning. Ground crew was fortunate to get the tarp down.
So if the Mets hang on and win tonight, they'll pull into a first place tie with the Nationals. Marlins at the moment 3 games back and in 4th place. Gillespie, Ozuna in left and center, very deep. Ichiro is not in right. And the payoff pitch is fouled away. Seen some long at bats from the Braves tonight. Daniel Castro had one. Now d'Arnaud's putting up a fight against Barraclough.
And that's the hope. That's what you hope to do against this guy. If you're sitting on the fastball, is just try to fend off some of the off-speed stuff and hope you get a fastball you can handle.
Strike 3 outside corner. No argument from d'Arnaud, but Barraclough hits that down and away corner that was so big for Leo Mazzoni in his days here as a Braves pitching coach. And that's the 2nd out.
Yeah, you hit that spot and you hit it consistently, you're going to get a lot of calls. You're going to get a lot of outs. Real Muto did a good job of framing it.
So it's up to Castro to keep the inning alive. And a strike. If he does, Kelly Johnson has grabbed a bat, will come on and pinch hit for Bud Norris.
Daniel fought hard his first at bat. As you said, Chip, hit the ball pretty hard, but hit it straight out to left. He earned a hit this at bat. But 0-2, it'll be tough. Daniel's another guy like the recent at bat history of Freddie Freeman, where he's been up there at 0-2 every time.
The pitch just missed inside. Must have been low. 1-2 now. And a swing and a miss will retire the side. Barraclough strikes out 3 Braves in the 7th, and we remain tied going to inning number 8.
Greater coverage of baseball minor league update. No starter up here for tomorrow announced, but Aaron Blair is definitely a possibility. He threw 3 innings in Gwinnett with 1 run in his only outing there. And then Dansby Swanson 0 for tonight, but he is still trying to extend that hitting streak to 13 games. And then outfielder Braxton Daviston 4 for 7 with 3 runs and 3 RBI in the last 2 games.
All right, Kelsey, thank you very much. Dansby Swanson came into play tonight, hitting .297 for the Mississippi Braves. Dustin Peterson, as Ozuna bounces one through the middle for a leadoff single. Dustin Peterson leads the M Braves with 5 homers and 26 RBIs. Keep an eye on him. Sean Newcomb, Chris Ellis, team leaders in strikeouts and starters ERAs respectively for the AA club. And that's going to be the end of the line for Bud Norris, who gives up a leadoff hit to Ozuna, and Justin Bour, the left-hand slugger, coming up for Miami. Norris allows a second base runner. The man at first belongs to him as we continue on in the top of the 8th in Atlanta, tied at 2. SunTrust Park will soon offer the best entertainment experience in Atlanta. With great dining options and boutique shops on site, going to a Braves game will never be the same. Be a part of the excitement and get your tickets today at braves.com/SunTrust Park. I can promise you that next year Joe and I will be frequent visitors to the Wahlburgers at the Battery.
You know it.
Can't wait for that and the other great restaurants that will be part of that spectacular development around SunTrust Park.
Might see us around the brew pub after the game.
Almost a certain.
Automatic.
Yeah. as Ian Kroll goes to work in his 11th game.
He worked last night, got ambushed by Jonathan Villar for a home run. Comes in tonight to face a left-hander.
And Kroll delivers a strike. Bour, a .214 hitter against left-handers this year. Here's an amazing stat. No homers, no RBIs.
Against lefties?
And he's only had 14 at-bats against them this year.
Huh. Well, you mentioned earlier Chris Johnson's been getting some playing time at first base. Not a full-fledged platoon, but that may be at times, especially late in the game, where Chris gets some pinch hit appearances.
This guy's been quite a find for Miami, as that one's tipped into Flowers' glove. Remember, he was with the Cubs, and they have a guy that might be an MVP candidate playing first base for them named Anthony Rizzo. And Bour was left exposed in the Rule 5 draft, and the Marlins picked him up, and here he is, coming off a 23 homer year last year. And a ground ball up the middle. Look at that tricky spin. And the feed to second. The throw to first is going to be late.
That was a good try. In a setup with a shift on, to have to feed Beckham running toward left field and throw back to first. Got the lead runner. Our Zaxby's indescribably good play. Gordon wasn't satisfied with just one. He was going to try to get them both. Nicely done, gentlemen. Oh, and bare hand, too.
Well, Gordon, as you know, is a terrific high school quarterback here in Atlanta. It's almost like they were running the Wildcat on that play up the middle. And Atlanta got the lead runner on a ball that had some funny spin, too. You can see how carefully Daniel Castro fielded that ball to get the leading base runner. So Bour's at first. Real Muto is the Marlins catcher, 0 for 2 with a walk. And he takes downstairs, 1 ball, no strikes. The Dodgers have just tied the Mets. They did it in the 9th inning. It's a 5-2 game, now 5-5. Milwaukee leads the Reds 7-5. They're in the 6th inning at Miller Park.
Reds have already lost 10 in a row.
Secret to the Reds, getting their bullpen. And that's meant with no disrespect. They have had horrible pitching injury problems. And their Cincinnati-Louisville shuttle, I mean, they may have free frequent flyer miles for the next 10 years. All the guys that they've been sending up and down there.
Yeah. Braves and Twins have only won 12 games. Reds have only won 15.
And that's out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. I was looking at the standings too and saw a note. This kind of surprised me too. But he's talking about the Cubs. Great start. Best team destined for the World Series, right? Did you know the Phillies only had 5 fewer wins than the Cubs coming into play today? Only 5 games, 5 wins separated the Chicago Cubs and the Phillies.
Tommy Glavine said that last night. He said, every time I look at the standings, you know, after a day or two of not paying attention, I realize the Phillies are still there.
They got beat today in Chicago. As that one's taken down low for a full count for Real Muto. And And with Washington losing, the Phillies will still be 2.5 back when play resumes tomorrow. Derek Dietrich's on deck. 1 on, 1 out. Game tied 2-2. It's a battle of the bullpens the rest of the way tonight. And the Marlins catcher stays alive. Bouncing ball. Darno's got it. Second base one. Quick turn. Not in time. 2 long throws. But Darno and Beckham did great work to give that double play chance its best chance. And only the speed of the Miami catcher keeps the inning alive.
Little air under that first bounce. Slowed things down. Great stretch by Freddie. That high chopper allowed Dietrich a little time down the line. Excuse me, Real Muto.
Boy, did Gordon get rid of that quickly. But the inning continues. Here's Dietrich. He's 1 for 3. He's recorded 3 straight multi-hit games for Miami. They'd like to keep that alive here in the 8th. Nine, 1 and 2 will be up for Atlanta when we get to the 8th. The only question is, what will the score be? Right now it's 2-2.
Wasn't it Dietrich, Chip, that not this past spring but a spring ago got hit in the face with a bad hop?
Yes.
And it really took him a while to kind of get back into it defensively.
Yeah, that was the knock. Good hit and somewhat skittish with the glove at second. And they've got the man picked off with a good throw. Freeman corralled it and made a 360 peg to Castro, who handled that sinker right at the bag. And Real Muto was picked off. Nice play. We go to the home 8th. 2-2 game.
Time for our cricket something to smile about. We've seen some excellent Braves defense in game one.
Boy, some good hands there from Freddie Freeman. Nice play here, charging the ball, and a good throw by Chase Darno. Nice double play turn here. Beckham to Castro. And just now the pickoff.
And so we head to the bottom of the 8th inning, and it's going to be David Phelps coming on to pitch for the Marlins. The Braves beat him on April 15th. He was the loser in a 6-3 Atlanta victory. And Joe, the Marlins have a very unique relief circumstance for Don Mattingly. No left-handers in their bullpen.
Yeah, it's pretty odd, huh? Especially in this division. But a 1.33 ERA for Phelps. He's only given up 4 earned runs in 27 innings. Mid-90s fastball, a lot of cutters, and a curveball.
And Phelps has to face a couple of left-handed batters back-to-back. Kelly Johnson will come on and pinch hit first for Ian Kroll, who worked a scoreless inning. First pitch popped up. Echeverria drifts out and is called off by Gillespie, and the ball drops, and Kelly ends up at second base.
Finally a break.
Echeverria peeled off, and Gillespie didn't make the catch. What in the world happened?
Well, Gillespie wasn't even in the neighborhood. He was just watching Echeverria. Sure glad Kelly didn't stand at home plate and pout. He was running all the way.
Unless Echeverria lost it.
He must have.
I thought Gillespie was calling for the ball because it looked like it was his play, but maybe he didn't. So it's a double for Kelly Johnson. That represents the winning run. And Inciarte is the batter. And that's taken low.
Braves just haven't been getting any kind of breaks that way.
Well, now you got to cash it in. Atlanta 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position tonight. Those 2 hits came in the 5th inning when Atlanta scored both runs.
That is just such a good reminder for any of you young players at home. It's the play ball weekend. Baseball, softball, doesn't matter. Pop up like that, run it out. You just never know when one might drop, and Kelly did. And it's a huge difference him standing on second right here instead of first.
And after Phelps threw 2 in the dirt, the Marlins are going to intentionally walk Ender Inciarte and go with the righty-righty matchup with Gordon Beckham and trying to get a double play ball.
It's an interesting move. We'll see if it works out for them. And we'll see if Beckham is bunting. And if he was successful, then they would probably walk Freddie and work to Flowers or a pinch hitter.
So Bo Porter goes through his set of signs in the third base coaching box. 2 on, nobody out. Great chance for Atlanta with Beckham up there 1 for 3. He has stung the ball 3 times. A deep fly ball might be able to send Kelly Johnson to third with 1 out and Freeman waiting on deck. He is showing bunt, and Phelps can't throw a strike.
He's missing to the same spot too. they're really bird dogging Kelly out at second base. Echeverria's really holding him close. Martin Prado flashing some signs to his infielders about any type of bunt defense here they may switch up.
Got the call that time. One and two. Phelps, you might recall, a former Yankee, came to the Marlins in the trade that sent Nathan Eovaldi to the Yankees. Last year Phelps was 4-8 and started 19 games. He's gotten ahead of Beckham. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And he got the bunt down with 2 strikes. Throw to third in time. Beckham got the bunt down. It died in the dirt, and Real Muto pounced and threw a strike to get the lead runner. 1 down.
Real Muto's kind of a new age catcher like Lucroy. And they're like infielders with gear on, and he pounced on that. You're right, the dirt kind of just killed that bunt. Gordon got it down with 2 strikes, but not far enough away from home plate.
So now Freddie Freeman is the Braves hitter.
Still got fast runners on the bases. Inciarte's at second now. Something else too, Chip. Them holding Kelly close at second was a huge difference in that play.
Great catch. And they're doing the same thing with Inciarte as Freeman digs in. And Phelps wants to make sure he and his catcher are on the same page.
Suzuki in right, still with a good arm. Ozuna in center has a very strong arm, but sometimes it's a little off the mark, a little wild. And I don't have a report for you on Gillespie.
Up and away to the Braves first baseman Freddie Freeman. 1 ball, no strikes.
Braves broke out with some good hitting in the 5th inning to tie it up. Maybe now they can get that gapper that Brian Snitker was talking about that they need.
For the Marlins, I understand perfectly why Echeverria is doing what he's doing, but Freddie Freeman's base hit went right where the shortstop normally would play. So he's got a hole to the left side, and Phelps keeps missing.
And you know how, sorry Chip, you know how when a runner at second on a ground ball to his right, he's got to freeze to make sure the ball goes through. When he knows that Echeverria is right behind him, he sees a ground ball that way, he can take off.
2 balls, no strikes. He took a little off and found a corner. Miami led 2-0 after 3. The Braves tied it 2-2 after 5. Miscommunication between Echeverria and Gillespie gifted the Braves a leadoff double. Intentional walk and a force play has 2 on, 1 out. And a shot, right field base hit. Ichiro comes up cleanly. He loads up and all runners hold. The bases are loaded as Freddie Freeman with a shot to right sets it up for Tyler Flowers.
And there's another base hit. with a runner in scoring position that doesn't produce a run, because on this occasion, with the ball rifled to the left side, or to the right side, to Ender Ciarte's left, he had to wait and make sure that ball wasn't speared on the line. So we got a late start, had to be held at third.
So let's see if Flowers can elevate and bring home Inciarte. $19,000 plus want to see the Braves take a lead. And a little dribbler. Phelps with a bare hand. Flips to the catcher at the plate. Throw to first. Got him! A double play.
What a play by Phelps. What a huge play to barehand that ball. Braves may check that out on the play at first, but watch him barehand this. If his foot was on the bag, even though it was hidden from us there a little bit, it looked like he was safe.
So the Braves are going to challenge that call at first base. Inciarte will be forced at the plate on a remarkable play by Phelps with a bare hand. Beckham will be at third. Freeman will be at second. Flowers will be at first, and there'll be 2 outs if the call is overturned.
I believe it will be. This replay shows it pretty clearly. Interesting watching Bohr there. He's standing with his left foot on the bag, but he's not striding, he's not stretching to home plate to try to get that throw a little sooner. He's just more or less flat-footed and square to the line.
His left foot was touching the bag?
Yeah. He took that throw instead of, he's right-handed.
So it should have been his right foot.
So he should have had his right foot on the bag and then stretch with his left to catch that throw a little sooner.
So it appears the verdict is in. The Marlins are back on the field. Phelps is back on top of the mound. I think he knows that the inning is going to continue. Call is overturned, so Tyler Flowers beats the Rap at first base. Atlanta has them loaded again, but now there are 2 outs, and Nick Markakis is coming up. So Phelps has no place to put Markakis. He's missed consistently toward the back foot of the left-hand hitters this entire inning. Markakis leads the club in walks. And of course, a base on balls with the bases loaded would put the Braves in front. And Nick, a wily veteran, he knows who's in trouble. It's the man on the mound, Phelps.
Get a good pitch. Make him throw you a good pitch to hit.
He did. Strike 1. Ripped foul past first. That would have scored 2 for sure. So a swing and a miss, and a foul pulled past first by Markakis. It's now 0-2.
Phelps called Real Muto out and said, let's not do that again.
Beckham, Freeman, and Flowers, the runners. Wasted high, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Fastball's his best pitch. Nick couldn't catch up with that one up and away on the first swing, but he got around on the cutter at 90 when he pulled it foul. So I would be real shocked if they try to throw another cutter in there.
Ooh. Did miss by much. Phelps wanted that one. Now it's 2-2.
And that was just a 4-seamer at 95. So he's got one pitch here that he can try something on or try to just hit a spot. Otherwise, going to 3-2, he knows he's going to have to make a good pitch on it. But this is the one, as your dad used to say, he wants to do business on, and he'll probably just try to hit something in the outside corner would be my guess. I can't imagine they'd try the cutter in again.
Phelps ready. Here it comes. Line drive to third. It's off Prado's glove. 1 run scores. Here comes Freddie to score. And the Braves break through. It's 4-2. How in the world did Martin Prado miss that?
Put the ball in play. Good things can happen. Fastball, middle of the plate, fought it off. I don't know if that ball was knuckling or not, but it looked like a play Martin would routinely make. E5.
So 2 runs score in the Atlanta 8th. An inning that began with miscommunication between Echeverria and Gillespie. Now an error on Prado, and the Braves have taken their first lead of the night, 4-2. Atlanta with 12 hits, and Phelps with yet another meeting with his catcher.
That will keep Martin up tonight, not changing diapers.
Yeah. So here's Jeff Francoeur. He's had a great night at the plate. 3 singles and an RBI. No balls, 1 strike. Bouncer left side. Echeverria can't glove that. Infield hit for Francoeur. He's got 4 of them. And the Braves have him loaded again.
Anybody but Tyler Flowers running. I think Bo Porter probably sends him. But Echeverria recovered quickly, and Bo Porter wisely held up Tyler Flowers, who probably would have been thrown out right here. Oh, he did have him. He was waving him. Tyler was looking at the play and not at Bo, but I think it was a smart thing just to wait.
So Jeff Francoeur with his 12th career 4-hit game keeps it alive for Chase d'Arnaud, who's the 8th man to bat in the 8th.
First 4-hit night for Jeff since May 4th of last year. at Turner Field, but not with the Braves.
One ball, one strike for Chase d'Arnaud. In a game that has been so filled with opportunities for the Braves, Marlins gift wrapped a big inning here in the 8th. And Brian Snitker looking on, now enjoying a 4-2 lead, and that almost hit it.
Well, remember the other things that have happened in this inning that were pretty good defensively. The play by Real Muto on the bunt by Beckham. They get the lead runner. The tapper out in front of the mound that Phelps made such a good play on and had to go to review to see if it was going to end the inning, and it didn't. They made a couple of really great plays.
If they convert that double play, we're still tied.
Right.
It's over.
The inning's over.
It's a 2-2 game. Popped up. Out goes Dietrich. Echeverria says he's got it, and he does. And that retires the side. 8 Braves come to the plate. 2 of them score. It's 4-2 Atlanta. A chance to win it next. Trust moments that matter. Some crazy defensive happenings for the Marlins a few moments ago.
Looked like an easy pop-up for either one of these 2 defensive players for the Marlins. And they let it drop for a double. Come back to the mound. Good play here by the pitcher. Looked like they got a double play, but upon further review, Tyler Flowers hustle. He's safe and extends the inning. And then with them loaded, a line drive that should have been caught by Martin Prado off his gloves. Off his glove, and the Braves get 2 runs and lead it 4-2.
So Arodys Vizcaino is on to finish things off here at the top of the 9th inning.
It would be his 5th save. Oh, they changed it from an error to a hit.
Yeah, so take away the error for Prado, give Markakis a hit and 2 RBIs.
And 2 earned runs for Phelps.
So Vizcaino will face Dietrich, Gillespie, and Echeverria for Miami. Atlanta trying for its 3rd home win. And that's outside, ball 2.
And trying to go 4-0 against Miami.
Braves swept them April 15th, 16th, and 17th down at Marlins Park. 2-0 pitch. Right there, 2 balls and a strike. Three balls, 1 strike.
Don't you do it. Don't you walk that leadoff man.
Again, no Giancarlo Stanton. It's a side problem, but he's still active. Don't know if he could swing a bat tonight. We are getting down to the pitcher's spot for the Marlins. That spot's due 4th. Braves hoping Vizcaino doesn't get there. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Dietrich. And that's out of play. It's still full. Mets did come back and beat the Dodgers. New York had a 5-2 lead in the 9th. LA tied at 5-5. Curtis Granderson hit a walk-off homer to beat LA 6-5 tonight.
He's been doing a lot of work, good work offensively for the Mets.
And they needed Lucas Duda out with a stress fracture in his back for New York. As a little tapper hit towards second. Beckham's got it. Flips quickly to first in time. 1 man down. Nice recovery for Vizcaino. And there's a good start to the 9th. Braves Live presented by Xfinity is coming up after our ball game. We'll hear from Brian Snitker and the Braves as Atlanta tries to win its 3rd home game of the year here on May the 27th.
Always important to get that leadoff man. That's 15 out of 20 first batters retired by Arodys.
This is Arodys' 11th game at home. This could be his first home save. 1 ball, 1 strike. And if he gets that pitch over with the 97-mile-an-hour heat, he's going to rack up a lot of them. One ball, 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. Gillespie didn't get another breaking ball. 2 are out.
Boy, threw that in a perfect spot, threw it right at the center of the plate, and then had it break off the outside. Looked like it was going to be a good pitch to hit.
Here's Echeverria. Ball 1. Big crowd here for fireworks on Friday night. They saw the Braves score 2 in the 8th to take the lead. And they are hoping to enjoy a rare home win to this point. Knee-high strike evens it up. Kroll, Phelps, and Vizcaino would be the pitchers of record. Swing and a miss. The Braves are a strike away. One ball, 2 strikes. 2-2. Fly ball right at Markakis. He had the game-winning hit. He puts the squeeze on home win number 3 as the Braves beat the Marlins by a final score of 4-2. It wasn't easy. The Braves picked up 14 hits, left 15 men on base, but the Marlins, with some excellent and sloppy defense in the 8th inning, helped the Braves gift wrap a 4-2 final victory. Joe and I will be back to Turner Field and wrap it up for you right after this.